And what we found was we looked at some impediments to digital transformation in the past. There's desirability, feasibility, and viability. Welcome to Digital Transformation Architect, architecting the future of digital transformation. I'm Dr. Darren, and this podcast is for leaders navigating the real-world complexity of modern change. Each week, we cut through the hype to explore how strategy, architecture, technology, and people come together across artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, data, edge, and modern infrastructure. This isn't about chasing tools. It's about designing systems that endure. Let's get started. All right, in this lecture, we're going to talk about digital transformation that works by aligning people, process, policy, and technology for sustainable change. We had a really interesting situation in 2020, what I call a stimulated hyperdigital transformation. This is when COVID hit and everything was forced to move to online and everyone was forced to work remote. Project plans and digital transformation plans that were scheduled for 3 to 5 year transitions were compacted and happened in 3 weeks. And there was a lot of questions on why this happened so quickly, or even better yet, why didn't it happen as quickly in the past? And what we found was we looked at some impediments to digital transformation in the past. There's desirability, feasibility, and viability. Desirability, there wasn't a true desire to get those roadmaps done. There wasn't really anything forcing it to happen. They were totally feasible. Telemedicine is a great example. Totally feasible to do. It was viable. You could do it in a costly manner, but the desirability really wasn't there. And this has to go with the people element of digital transformation. So if we take a look at what made really good digital transformation, we take these impediments and we blow them out. And we find out, all right, what changed? What changed to make this happen quickly? And what we found is we identified what we call the 4 dimensions of digital transformation: people, process, policy, and technology. And on my show, you'll hear that all the time. The tagline is leveraging people, process, policy, and technology for effective change. And these dimensions are important dimensions when you're looking at digital transformation. You need to make sure that you pay attention to all 4 of those dimensions anytime you're doing anything, right? Well, it's not just good enough to say, I need to pay attention to all 4 of them. I need a plan around what to do, right, for those 4 dimensions. So that's what we came up with, we came up with a philosophy where if I pay attention to those 4 domains and I've got initiatives to build out mission solutions and capabilities, right, then if I pay attention to those things, then I'll be able to accomplish what I need done. And what we found was that there's these pillars of execution out there that we see over and over again. We call them the 6 pillars of execution in digital transformation. They're ubiquitous computing. This is your traditional computing, cloud computing, modern computing. It's computing everywhere concept. So ubiquitous computing is one of the major pillars. The next one is edge computing, right? Artificial intelligence is a major pillar. Cybersecurity, data management, and advanced communications. What we have found in helping organizations through their digital transformation is you have to pay attention to all 6 pillars. You may focus more on one pillar than another, but you have to pay attention to all 6. If you don't, then your solutions are kind of shaky and you won't be able to provide all the capabilities that you need, and they won't be long lasting. So pay attention to all 6 pillars. Make sure that all 6 pillars have a foundational framework on the bottom that adhere to and sit on top of the people, process, policy, and technology. And that's the whole picture of this digital transformation that we have that we call GEAR, which stands for Governing Enterprise Architecture Realization. So that's GEAR, Government or Governing Enterprise Architecture Realization. And this is the framework that we developed that helps me build long-lasting, sustainable digital transformation. So we were really good at this, and we helped a lot of organizations go through this in an effective way, and especially in government. And one interesting thing that we found in government is the way that government funds things allows me to focus all my effort on individual projects. And when they fund a project, they fund people, process, policy, and technology, but they fund it from the ground up. So we get a lot of non-reuse. So I take my digital transformation, technology temple here, or digital transformation temple, and I apply it to those funding projects, and we did really well. And we were able to help a lot of projects move along. And they moved along so well that I created these silos of functionality, because I did not look at a core foundational framework as reusing that foundation over and over again. So we made adjustments to our model, and we said, hey, the adjustments we need to make is we need to build out that foundational framework so it's rock solid, so that I can leverage it over and over again for different types of capabilities, all sitting on that same foundation are the execution pillars, the 6 execution pillars of digital transformation. Where maybe in Project A, I focused a lot on artificial intelligence, but on Project B, cybersecurity was more important. Well, if I already have some foundational elements in cybersecurity, I should be leveraging them across all the projects. So we had to firm up that foundational framework even more profound than what we had. So we built a common foundation for across those capabilities and across those execution pillars. And this foundational framework that we focused on turned into something called the Open Digital Transformation Architecture, which is now in the Open Group, which is a standards organization that focuses on global standards. So that foundational framework that we put together fits into something called ODXA, Open Digital Transformation Architecture. And the 5 domains are really straightforward, and they cover all 4 of the dimensions: people, process, policy, and technology. And they tie all 4 together across 5 domains. The 5 domains are strategic, organizational, process, digital, and physical domains, which gives you a picture of the organization holistically. And the idea of these 5 domains is that I can easily identify all the elements in each domain very quickly and very broadly, like what is the strategy and the mission of the organization? What is their organizational structure in the organizational domain? What skills do they already have? What training do they have? What in the process domain? What processes do they use? And we categorize all these different elements. In the digital domain, which software do they have? In the physical domain, where are their physical locations? What physical devices do they have? Right? All these things map together and they link together. And we've created a taxonomy, so I have a common way of communicating across all the projects, and I have a picture of their organization across these 5 domains. And these 5 domains are interrelated with each other very well. Like the strategic domain kind of sits on the top of organizational and process domain. Because all the strategy, that's your mission, goals, capabilities, value streams, they should be driving your organization. They should be driving your processes. It could mean that I'm going to change my organizational structure, or I'm going to change my core values, or my training in organization. Or in the process domain, it may mean I need different processes than what I had before. It may mean that I get rid of some processes. And then digital domain sits underneath organizational and process, because the digital domain should be there to support the processes that are creating value streams in the strategic domain. And then the physical domain sits side by side with the digital domain as devices, locations. These could be machines, they could be cars, they could be tanks, They could be washing machines, whatever the case may be. In one case, we did an analysis of a distillery, and in the physical domain, we had stills. That was kind of cool to do that one. I've been in shipyards where the physical domain were warehouses that were hundreds of thousands of square feet. Amazing, right? So, but we had to get a picture of the whole organization, and people go, Darren, this can take forever. Well, we go broad first. So we don't get all the details. We go broad first. Then we dive down into targeted areas where the pain points are. And this has been very successful in a lot of organizations that we've worked through. Now, I've got all this. I got this framework. I got my dimensions. I've got my domains, which is my foundation built on top of the dimensions. I got my execution pillars. I'm ready to go. We can go develop solutions and capabilities, no problem. But what I was missing was a process to do this, a repeatable process to do this. So we came up with something called FORGE. It stands for Find, Observe, Reconcile, Ground, and Enhance. Now, find means that I'm finding all those elements across the organization. And I take all of this disjointed, replicated information that they have, whether it's their software, their hardware, their organizational structure, their processes, their strategy. I find what those elements are. I observe what they do and how they interact. Then I reconcile and map them all together. So I look for duplication and all that, and I can do that easily across those 5 domains. Then I leverage what I already have by grounding my solutions in technology available today that I already have. Not just technology, but processes, organizational skills, whatever the case may be. And then I look at enhancing, augmenting what they already have with new technology, different processes, skill training, whatever the case may be. And then I go back to find again, and I keep iterating over this until I get to the solutions that I'm looking for. So this FORGE methodology is really how I realize it's the R in gear. It's the realization. So finding those key components, when I first start there, I go very broad. Very broad. Then I observe and I get more detailed, but I don't go everywhere detailed. I only go in the areas that are providing the new capabilities or the pain points that I've observed. Then I reconcile those pain points. I try and find and identify gaps that I have. I ground my solutions on where I'm currently at with my current infrastructure and processes and skill sets that I already have in the organization. And then I look at enhancement. What capabilities can I develop with some enhancements, either to technology, process, organizational, whatever the case may be, even maybe physical locations or physical machines. And that is how gear is all tied together. And this gear framework is something new that we're calling a transformation operating system. Instead of a framework, it's a full-blown operating system. I've got a process that helps me get there. I've got a model that helps me map everything with the domains. I've got my execution stacks, which are my execution pillars that help me focus on when I'm going through the FORGE methodology, helps me focus on what I'm focusing on across the 5 domains. And the bedrock of everything are those 4 dimensions: people, process, policy, and technology. You've been listening to Digital Transformation Architect. If today's discussion helped you see your challenges more clearly, the next step is to apply architecture, not just technology. For deeper conversations with leaders and practitioners shaping real change, listen to Embracing Digital Transformation or check out our website at embracingdigital.org. Until next time, architect the future with intent.